I made this video to describe how I experience and cope with migraine headache, in the hopes that it would be useful to others afflicted with migraine. Migraine symptoms and triggers vary widely across people and even within one person. The symptoms and triggers that follow are from my personal experience. I was diagnosed with migraine in 1978 at age 13 through extensive testing. Most tests were neurological, but also included were eye tests since my main symptoms were visual. My symptoms are typically 20 to 30 minutes of a visual and/or sensory aura, sometimes followed by headache that can last hours. I say sometimes because, luckily, most of the time, say 60 to 70%, I do not get a headache. My sensory auras consist of tingling and numbness, most commonly in my hands and arms, but also mouth, scalp, neck, or foot. When my hands are affected, it feels like my fingers are very bloated, even though they look the same. My fingers will have very little touch sensation and don't move well. In my teens through my 20s, the post-aura headaches varied from mild to painful. A few times there was nausea, but mostly I would have sensitivity to light. I would seek out a quiet, dark room to ride out the headache. There were very few treatments back then, and since my symptoms have always been manageable, I never sought out treatment for my migraine. In later years, it has been rare to have a debilitating headache, likely because I started to determine my migraine triggers. I describe my main trigger as any activity that causes blood rushing to the head in a sustained or sudden manner. Example activities include push-ups, lifting something heavy, doing anything upside down, for example, diving. A second trigger is any tight constriction on my abdominal/pelvic region. I've noticed that if my belt or pants were too tight, it would trigger a migraine. I haven't identified a food trigger. For example, wine or chocolate are fine. After a trigger, it typically takes 18 to 24 hours for migraine symptoms to begin, but it can occur in as little as 4 or 5 hours. Visual aura. I've had many different types of visual auras. The one I will show is a common one, an off-center, crescent-shaped aura with scintillations that slowly moves, expands, and shrinks. Both eyes experience this. Here is what a walk in a garden would look like during a visual aura, where I've compressed 20 minutes into 1 minute. Okay, so here we see a walk around a garden, and you can see my visual aura in the center. It starts out small, it's getting bigger, you can see it's crescent shaped, it's moving slightly, and it's expanding. In this particular case, I can see pretty much what I want to see because the center of my visual field is okay, but the peripheral is not okay, as you can see. In the middle 10 minutes, the aura is growing. It's still moving around. Sometimes there's like little flashing lights, but most of the time it's just this kind of blob, kind of greasy spot kind of thing. And here we are in the last 10 minutes, and you can see that it's moved to the right. It's getting smaller, and it's going down to the bottom. So it's on its way out. This would be around, minute 20 plus or minus. These can last up to 30 minutes, sometimes 15, and then it just dissipates. Coping strategy. I mostly avoid my triggers. However, I exercise daily, including weightlifting. In my workouts, I avoid exercises that cause blood to rush to the head, mainly squats, deadlifts, lifting weights above my head, and exercises done in a horizontal position. I will sometimes do weightlifting exercises that I know are triggers. I just accept I will likely have migraine symptoms the next day. It's a trade-off. Thanks for watching. Hope this is useful if you have migraine.